let's not waste a single second, because what I'm about to tell you changes everything you thought you knew about the waiting game. The digital and financial infrastructure we've been told was merely in a testing phase has, as of the last 12 to 24 hours, officially transitioned into a live active, an operational status for a specific pre-qualified group of individuals. And this isn't speculation, this is the activation sequence we were promised, which means the reality of the revaluation is no longer a future event. It is a present tense experience for those in Tier 4B, and the evidence is now pouring in from multiple, independent sources that cannot be ignored. Imagine waking up this morning to a series of encrypted messages and verified emails from individuals who have for years been our most reliable contacts within the international banking and Treasury departments, and the message was unanimous and stunningly simple. The screens have changed. The system is live, and the first wave of appointments for the exchange of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong is now being scheduled, which signifies that the trigger has been pulled, and the long-anticipated global currency reset is not just happening, it's happening right now, beginning with this tier, which includes long-term holders, strategic investors, and those who were positioned within a certain financial framework. Meaning, if you have been holding, your time to step into the designated physical locations and complete the process may be literally days, or in some cases, mere hours away, depending on your specific placement and the instructions you are receiving through your private banking channels. The Central Bank of Iraq and the State Bank of Vietnam, in coordination with the U.S. Treasury and the International Monetary Fund, have greenlit this phase after what insiders are calling the final compliance hurdle was cleared late last night, which involved the last of the electronic fund transfer protocols and the anti-money laundering software integrations being verified across the global banking network, creating a seamless and secure pathway for the conversion of these currencies at their new revalued rates, which are now being displayed on secure terminals inside these appointment-only facilities. And while the exact public-facing number is still under a media blackout, the range being reported from these early private exchanges is so astronomically higher than the current street rate that it confirms every projection we've ever discussed about the potential for life-altering wealth. This isn't a drill, and the reason you feel a shift in the energy is because the shift has already occurred in the tangible financial world. The quantum financial system's backbone is now actively processing the first of these exchanges, which means the old system is running in parallel for a very short period of time, solely to facilitate this transition for holders before the full public launch, which will come later, after we have had our window of opportunity to complete our transactions in a controlled and orderly fashion, preventing the kind of economic chaos that would ensue if everyone tried to exchange at once. So this phased approach is a deliberate and intelligent strategy to stabilize the entire process. The intelligence we are gathering suggests that the initial exchange window for Tier 4B is a narrow one, perhaps only 72 to 96 hours in duration for the first wave of appointments, before the system opens up for the next tier, which means that the urgency you are feeling is not paranoia, it is a primal understanding that a historic financial door has just been cracked open, and it will not remain open for long, so the preparation you did months or years ago must now be activated. Your documents must be in order, your mind must be clear, and you must be ready to move the moment you receive that specific, individualized notification, because this is the moment where belief and patience transform into concrete action and verifiable financial transformation. The silence from mainstream media is deafening, but it is also perfectly predictable, as their role is not to report on the mechanism of the reset, but to report on the effects of the reset after it has become impossible to hide, which will be when the new currency rates are published on public forex screens and the global economy officially acknowledges the new paradigm. But by then, for those of us in this tier, the exchange will already be a completed chapter in our lives, and we will be navigating the new reality of managing substantial assets, which is why the psychological preparation is just as critical as the logistical preparation right now. So, what does this operational reality actually look like on the ground for someone who has just been called in? Let me paint the picture based on the first-hand accounts that are now trickling in from secure, private forums and from individuals who have successfully navigated their first appointment. Imagine walking into a nondescript financial building, one that you've likely driven past 100 times without a second thought. But today you are greeted not by a public bank teller, by a private security detail and a facilitator who verifies your identity against a pre-approved list. And then you are escorted into a private room where the entire process is designed for discretion, efficiency, and absolute clarity. And this is where you will see the new rate displayed on a screen, a number that is firm and non-negotiable for your tier. And it is at this moment that the abstract concept of the revaluation becomes a solid mathematical fact right in front of your eyes, a number that will calculate the total value of the currency you are presenting for exchange. The entire procedure is built around a series of deliberate, calm, and documented steps where you will be presented with a menu of options for the receipt of your funds, options that include the direct deposit into a new, sovereign-backed asset account, the wiring of funds to a pre-established account under your name at a major international bank, or the allocation of the funds into a structured portfolio of precious metals and other stable assets. And each of these options comes with its own set of tax implications and future planning considerations, which is why the on-site financial advisor, who is sworn to a fiduciary duty for this specific event, will walk you through the long-term consequences of each choice, ensuring you are not making a rush decision based on emotion, but a strategic decision based on the new financial landscape you are about to enter. The most critical piece of intelligence from these early exchanges is the absolute necessity of your documentation packet. This isn't just about having your currency notes, which must be of the correct series and in pristine condition, but it is about having your original purchase receipts, your passport, your proof of citizenship, and in some cases, a specific bank letter of reference that confirms your financial history. And any discrepancy or missing document will not necessarily disqualify you, but it will delay your specific appointment, pushing you to the back of this very short queue, which could mean the difference between exchanging at the Tier 4B rate and having to wait for the next public phase, where the dynamics could be entirely different and potentially less favorable. The atmosphere in these rooms is described as one of surreal calm and profound professionalism. There are no celebrations, no loud outbursts, just a quiet, determined understanding among everyone present, from the staff to the investors, that they are participating in a historic, global financial correction, a once-in-a-civilization event that is rebalancing the economic scales of the world. And the facilitators are trained to manage the psychological weight of this moment, often reminding individuals to breathe, to take their time, and to comprehend the magnitude of the legal and financial documents they are signing, which will dictate their financial future for generations to come. This process is designed to be secure, but it is also designed to be final. Once you have signed the agreements and your currency has been processed, the transaction is irreversible and immediately reported to the relevant international tax and Treasury authorities under the new protocols, which means there is no room for error and no going back. So the clarity of your mind and the certainty of your decision are the most valuable assets you can bring into that room, even more than the currency notes themselves, because this is the point of no return on a journey that began for many of us over a decade ago. The transition from being a holder of a potential asset to being a holder of a liquid, substantial wealth fund is instantaneous upon the completion of the digital transfer, which can take anywhere from a few hours to a full 24 hours to settle into your designated account. And it is in that period, after you have left the facility, that the true psychological journey begins as you move from anticipation to stewardship, from waiting to managing, which is the entire purpose of this phased rollout, to create responsible custodians of new capital. Now, with this window actively open and the process underway, the most important question shifts from when to what's next, and the strategic moves you make in the first 24 to 48 hours after your successful exchange will determine the trajectory of your financial legacy for the next century. Because this wealth is not an endpoint, it is the ultimate tool for creating a lasting impact, for securing your family's future, and for contributing to the global economic healing that this revaluation is intended to facilitate. The first and most immediate action, beyond the obvious need for absolute discretion and privacy, is to assemble your team of unwavering advisors, a tax attorney who understands international law, a fee-only financial planner who operates with a fiduciary oath, and a trusted family member or confidant who can help you manage the immense psychological transition that accompanies this level of financial shift, because you cannot and should not navigate the coming weeks alone, and the quality of your counsel will be the single greatest factor in whether this wealth becomes a blessing or a burden. The intelligence from economic planners who are briefed on this event suggests that the initial 90 days post-exchange are a critical stabilization period where you should avoid making any large, impulsive purchases or lifestyle changes and instead focus on the strategic, boring, but essential tasks of debt elimination, estate planning, and the creation of a diversified, protected asset base that can generate sustainable income regardless of the ongoing fluctuations in the global economy. which will itself be experiencing significant volatility as the full scope of the currency reset becomes public knowledge. This is not just about personal wealth. This is about understanding your role in a broader, historical context. The revaluation of the dinar and dong is merely the first domino to fall in a series of global monetary reforms that will lead to a more equitable and asset-backed financial system for all of humanity. And your success story is a vital component of that larger picture, because as you become financially free, you gain the capacity to fund the innovations, support the charities, and empower the projects that are working towards a better world, transforming this financial event into a humanitarian opportunity. The information flow will now become even more critical, but it will also be flooded with misinformation and predatory schemes targeting new wealth holders, which is why your reliance on verified, trusted intelligence channels is more important than ever, and why the community of like-minded individuals who have gone through this process will be your most valuable network for navigating the new realities of post-revaluation life, sharing strategies for asset protection, and identifying legitimate opportunities for philanthropic and investment endeavors that align with the core values that guided you through the long years of waiting. Remember, the entire purpose of this journey was never just a number in an account. It was the freedom, the security, and the ability to make a tangible difference on your own terms. And now that the mechanism is live and the window is open, that purpose is ready to be fulfilled, not in a distant future, but in the immediate days ahead, a reality that is now unfolding in real time for those who were prepared both financially and mentally for this exact moment in history. And now, my final and most important instruction for you. If this information has resonated with you, if you feel the shift happening, then you need to take one specific, actionable step right now to ensure you are not left behind. I want you to go down into the comments section below this video and type the words "I am Ray80Y" in all capital letters. This does two things. First, it creates a powerful public declaration of your intent and your state of preparedness, which energetically aligns you with this unfolding event. And second, it allows me and my team to gauge the readiness of our community, which directly influences the type of urgent, last-minute intelligence we will release in the coming critical hours. Do not just like this video, do not just subscribe, although you should do both of those things immediately to stay connected. This is more important. Go down to the comments, and right now, your time is now.